Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The former Mukurweni member of parliament is asking a very pertinent question that I want us to look at. Kabando is saying, Ruto says we must live within our means. Can't spend what we don't have. Okay, granted. Now we ask you, Rice, or is it Mr. Lice? Where are you getting billions to waste on Ikulu watches, belts, umbrellas? Serikali yako Ruto ni utapeli, wizi, ufisadi, ulafi, unafiki, uongo mtupu. That is what Kabando is saying. Now, before you comment on what Kabando is saying, I want to paint for you a picture of what is happening in the country so that we decide whether Kabando has got a personal vendetta against Ruto or he's right. Now, what you're seeing on your screen is stated Statehouse spent 4.8 million shillings daily on hospitality. I'm talking about 4.8 million daily, on a daily basis. And it is said that on domestic travel, they spent 3 billion, because this is MDA spending for the past 3 months. We are just talking of a quarter of an year, just the past 3 months. They're saying domestic travel 3 billion Kenya shillings, foreign travel 1.7 billion Kenya shillings, printing and advert 561 million Kenya shillings. We have rent 1.6 billion, training 818 million, hospitality 1.8 million, vehicle maintenance 366 million, other assets maintenance 267 million, other economic items 94.1 billion, gross total 351 billion. That is what is given there. It doesn't stop there. I want us to look at this again. The cost of upgrading Statehouse stroke the state lodges, upgrade set to cost taxpayers 1 billion 300 million. This is 1.3 billion. So these days we don't talk about millions, we talk about billions. And Nairobi, we have the initial budget and the revised budget. So Nairobi was supposed to cost 195 million. Now it will cost 795 million. So they have revised it upwards from 195 to 795. That is about 600 million shillings. So they want to ensure that it is incorporated. Mombasa was supposed to be 382 million. It is now 302 M. 195 was supposed to be Nakuru, it is 125. Eldoret 70, it is now 30. Sagana 27, it remains 27. Kakamega 15, reduced to 10. Kisumu 14, reduced to 9. Kisii 19, reduced to 9. Mutito and A 5. Then now, remember the first one was from 195 million to 795 million. So it was increased by 600 million. Now the ones that have been reduced by maybe 5 million, maybe all those, they have been incorporated. So what we are talking about here is 1.3 billion. Renovation of state lodges, whether it is a priority or not, I don't know. Then let us look at another chart there. What they are saying, First Lady and DP spouse allocations in million shillings. Spouse to the Deputy President office has seen its budget allocation raised by 424 million. Madam Rachel had an initial budget of 444 million. It was raised to 593 million. Then our second lady had an initial budget of 292 million. It has been raised to 717 million Kenya shillings. So ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about budget to spouses of the president and the deputy. We are talking about renovation of state lodges, and then we are talking about a budget and how it is our taxpayers' money is being spent on this is the control of budget, by the way, that gave us all this report. So let's go back to Kabando. Kabando is saying that yes, William Ruto is saying that we need to live within our means and that we cannot spend what we don't have. Tell me, yes, we cannot spend what we don't have, but where do we get all this money that we want to spend on state lodges, on the first lady and the second lady, and what we spend in Statehouse? From your own judgment, tell me whether Kabando is right or wrong. And then it's coming against the backdrop of just today, William Ruto, as he was making that speech, he told of the striking doctors, you need to go back to work. And he's saying he wants to be honest with Kenyans. And he's saying that we must not, like a father, he does not want his children to inherit debts but assets. That is William Ruto for you. Even if you are a doctor and you wanted to go back to work, would you go back to work? The other chart that I've not shown you because you had seen it, a watch costs 700, I don't know, is it 700 million or 700,000, and umbrellas cost 3 million. And we just don't understand how spending is going on in this government. And this is exactly what Barack Luka described Sirikali ya Jambazi. That is how he described it in simple terms. But you realize that whenever people raise such questions, there are people who try to defend William Samoei Ruto. And even as they defend, it is their money, it is the taxpayers' money that is being misused here. Do you still believe that we have a nation? Because with this kind of spending, this is just less than 1 year into office. So I want you to picture 1 year, again another 1 year up to 2027. Then they are saying William Ruto must do 2 terms. So I want you to picture, if at all this is what will happen, our country in the next 10 years. With the taxpayers' money, people are being forced to pay levies, housing levy. And I've not repeated here that we are about to appoint more than 30 chief administrative secretaries who are going to double their work. Apart from the cabinet secretaries and permanent principal secretaries, we are about to appoint more CSS. Yet William Ruto says that there is no money. And then we still have trust issues with him. The people who elected this government must be crying in the toilet. Because this was a government that was supposed to safeguard our hard-earned cash. It was a government that was supposed to incorporate the feelings and the fears of the hustlers. But look at where we are now. Hustlers are crying and lamenting. What makes me even, sad is that there was a time when the opposition had decided that we try and compel the government to listen to them. Some people accused the opposition of being bitter because of a lost election. And they were saying that the opposition was only hell-bent on making sure that the government's agenda was sabotaged. They were told that the businesses were going to collapse because of the demonstrations. Then opposition said, okay, you cannot cry more than the bereaved. Because if you look at people like Raila, Kalonzo, Martha Karua, and all the other leaders who had taken the front line, these people don't understand the pangs of anger. They are salaried, they have invested, they are only fighting on the hustlers' behalf. But some of the hustlers were hoodwinked and they started accusing. Do you remember some of them were even given pangas and they took oath, wakachinja hapo mbuzi, wakasema wanaenda Jacaranda. Mtu yote ambaye atapatikana pale ambaye hajatairiwa atachinjwa. And then they said, okay, we can halt it. They are now crying. The levies that the farmers are crying for, because in the Finance Bill 2013, that they authoritatively passed and even told the opposition, you don't have the numbers. And I remember Rigathi was warning the opposition, hamna numbers, don't even try to oppose. Now that the people are lamenting, their farmers are crying foul. Our government had said that one of the things that they campaigned on a platform of maintaining food security. Today, William Ruto was talking about food security, avoiding the fact that we have fake fertilizer into the supply chain. And I've always realized that even as we go on roasting our ministers, we chide Susan Nakumicha and say, you don't know how to negotiate with doctors, William Ruto should transfer her. Nakumicha, we've realized from Ruto's speech that was her hands were tied. You cannot give above which you've been instructed to give. As she was meeting the doctors, she had instructions. This is what we must give. Mitigal Nturi is acting with a lot of pride. Why? I know William Ruto knows what is happening. Because if William Ruto, for example, if he had called a meeting today and say, I don't want this nonsense to continue. I want to know where the source of this fake fertilizer, and I want those people brought to book. Do you think it can take a day? Because these people have a consignment, they know the numbers, which one arrived on which date, and I mean, they can easily identify this. But you see, we have a government full of cartels, and cartels are controlling our markets. You cannot, for example, tell a cartel that you want to know where all this comes from. Yet we have the oil deal. People are making a lot of money. I don't know what is happening, but I'm really saddened as a citizen of this country. Because even as we keep on playing politics and having our hearts turned, people are dying in hospitals. I can assure you, people are dying because people do not have the ability to access private hospitals. Why don't we just decide? And by the way, where is David D? Is this the kind of advice that he gives to this government? Or does it mean that the government does not listen to the pieces of advice? Because if you ask me, even if you're not an economist, if you were to prioritize what you want to give to doctors vis-a-vis the state lodges, renovation, and the offices of the first lady and the deputy first lady, you would cut down on some of this unnecessary spending and take care of our doctors first. But look at where we are. A government that is full of ni wakati wetu kukula. What is your judgment on Kabando? Please share with me in the comment section.